Mic test. Is it okay?
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Is everyone's mic working?
Hello.
Okay.
Test.
Hi, my name is John Park. I run a validator called A41, and thank you for inviting me over here as a moderator. We're here with a special guest, and we would like to actually start from Misha, intro, and then we'll go with Robert and then Amit.
Hey everyone, my name is Misha. I'm co-founder on Symbiotic Generalized Shared Security Protocol.
Hello, hello. My name is Robert. I'm from the SSV Labs team, core contributor to the SSV network, and I'm the product marketer on the team there, taking care of all of that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amit. I'm one of the co-founders of Kelp, Kelp DAO, and Kernel DAO. Kelp is a liquid restaking protocol built on EigenLayer. Kernel is yet to launch, but it's a restaking protocol native to BNB chain.
Nice, nice. I think A41 has worked with all of you, or had worked with all with some of you as well. But the topic itself kind of begs the question. I think I would like to like kind of dive it into like revenue part of economic activity and utility of like LRG tokens, and then cost of the shared security that we have to actually pay for like having the restaking layer, right? So let me start off with the revenue part. As a validator, when we see the current staking yield of ETH, for example, like it's not that high, and a lot of people think that validators are eating too much, but like I don't think we do. But still, like the yield is like around 3 point something %. It fluctuates from like 3.1 to 3.4, I think these days. But like when first the idea of like restaking came into the space early this year, like when it became like hot among people, a lot of people were expecting that restaking will be able to add like further yields to the current like staking yield that people have for ETH. And my question would be like, how much additional yield do you foresee as like participants of this like restaking area to the current yield? If you could also share your number specifically, that would be also awesome. Let's start off with Misha, Amit, and then go to Robert.
Yeah, it's really hard to predict now. We like zero networks, AVSs, or like other shared security protocols launched like in production, so we don't have an idea. Before, like we have an idea, but like it's way too early. The important part here is that it'll be a product of like risk management on the part of LRTs, because the more you restake, the more yield you can get. Like you can get like 10 networks getting you like 1% 1% API, you'll get 10%, or you can get like 3 networks and you'll get 3% on top. Yeah, the logic behind restaking is that you can get infinite returns as long as you have like infinite networks that are accepting your tokens that have been restaked like infinite amount of time. So yeah, like I think like it'll start quite low because there's not going to be a lot of networks. They're like we as an industry, as a part of the industry of shared security, you experience asymmetry of the demand and supply, because demand is like really slow to emerge because networks need to develop their code, they need to start their protocol, like it takes time. And for the supply side, we have an enormous amount of tokens not doing anything. So I think we'll start like, I'm not gonna name the number because like why hallucinate? But it's gonna start a bit like slower, and the more we go into shared security, the more it improves. The more we actually launch networks, and LRTs learn ways to how to price them, how to price the risk reward of every network, the more restaking ratio will grow, I think, and the more rewards, like possible rewards, can grow. But it can go either way. It can go like rewards are grow, like restaking ratio grows, so rewards are growing, or it can go optimized way, like the restaking ratio increases, so like each network can pay less, because that's the whole goal for shared security, for decentralization to become more attractive to people. And one of the mechanisms for that is that they need to pay less for that. So remains to be seen. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you, Amit? As I mean, like Misha as a restaking layer or share security layer has answered, and I'm also quite curious about how the LRT like co-founder would actually look at the current landscape. Would you be also standing on the more a little bit like spectrum-wise conservative side for the further additional yield, or would you say that we're gonna be like a little bit faster than what Misha is saying?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. I do agree to some of the points that Misha was talking about in terms of I mean, one point that really resonated well with me was the actual potential of additional restaking yield is actually infinite. But obviously there are constraints. I'd like to remember a very important Web2 phrase, which is like we tend to overestimate short term and underestimate long term. Right? In the long term, I do believe that we can get to a much higher or significant restaking yields. In the short term, there is always a constraint because a lot of things with regards to the restaking industry are still in flux. It is, for all practical purposes, the industry is less than a year old. And the type of questions that we are asking about whether the industry is long-term sustainable, whether we will have higher amounts of restaking yields, how comparable they would be compared to the Ethereum staking yields. These are very, very early questions. I would say directionally we are getting there. There are enough number of new protocols and innovative applications that are keen to sort of utilize like the economic security provided by the restaking protocols. Would it be 30% sustainably higher than ETH staking rewards, or would it be like 200% higher than the ETH staking rewards? I think time will tell. If it's not 200% higher, then obviously the TVL of the restaking protocols shrinks down to probably a couple of billion, so that the risk to reward ratio kind of balances out. That's my long answer to your question.
I guess from SSV's perspective, this question is a little bit too far off, but at the same time, I think it's quite relevant because, like, the more we go DVT, I think the validators who are participating, operators who are participating in SSV or any DVT, like clusters, are especially the professional, like big ones, are very sensitive about like even 0.05% getting fluctuated or like stuff like that. So as a bystander, what would you say? Like, do you foresee the future of restaking going further, penetrating into the market, or do you think that like like maybe that's too far out, and like we should just focus on decentralizing the validator set?
That's funny. Actually, yesterday I got like a little tag that says decentralization maxi from Sigma Prime, and that is very much the vibe. I think both our speakers have said that it's really difficult to look into the future and know what it will look like. I think as we see more ETH being staked and the APY going down, we need to have methods to continue incentivizing people to join the network and to continue staking. But I think from an operational perspective for LRTs, the LRT that you're issuing, you have to remember that there's always ETH on the base layer, and that's like, the foundation, shall I say. So if you're running an LRT, and you have node operators, I'd say it's super important to make sure that the foundations are set. So that means for those that don't know what DVT is distributed validator technology. This essentially means that instead of having a single node running your entire stack with the validator client, you split it between multiple node operators. So this then means that if a node operator had to go down, those validators won't go down. So I think from that standpoint, DVT in the space is really important. And actually, there was Misha spoke about it yesterday briefly, talking about the potential of DVT with inside AVSs. So, I mean, this is something that probably still needs to be researched a bit more, but it's quite possible. And I think this could also kind of change the game in that perspective.
Could you go a little bit more on the like AVS and DVT side, like that you've talked about yesterday? Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah, like not AVSs. Like I don't have control over AVSs. That's Sriram territory. No, we talked about a lot of people talk about restaking, right? Like reusing the same token multiple times. Quite a simple concept. Not a lot of people are talking about like shared security part of it, because everyone is under one roof, because everyone is like going because the streamlined nature of receiving stake and starting early and starting decentralized, there are like side effects to it which are like really important. One of that is that you can streamline getting yourself a good operator set and validator set, because you get you need to be scored immediately from the technical point, like from the tech stack point, from the point of like tokenomics and other risks. And while you're being scored, this is a great opportunity for you to get the best validator set there is, right? Because like we already have like 5 fast finalities, like 12 Oracle networks and everything like that. We just gone through that. And like LRT's gone through that, and everything else. So this one of the interesting mechanics that can be used is for you when you get the operator set, for you to have like some metric of like industry standard or at least like best practice or something that tells you like the good combination is like, I don't know, like 50% of tier ones, like really huge like validators, experts at what they do, but like a bit centralized. And then you have like I don't know, like 40% of validators on a smaller side through this program, and then like you have 10% DVT or something, just open to anyone, like just smaller ones, anti-Sibyl or something like that. So yeah, this mechanic alone will change the face of industry like quite a lot, because first you're not talking with each validator like one-to-one, and you're not like filling up the forms. Like, and every validator has a form, like, and it's like quite sophisticated as well. Like I filled one of those and it took me like 1.5 hours or something, just for one, and I need like hundreds, if not thousands, if I'm a big network. So yeah, the DVT is like, it's a natural fit into like the restaking pipeline and shared security pipeline.
Excuse my wrong terminology there, but definitely, like, we had a chat with Iron Protocol a while ago, and I think, you know, when you look at rating these different services, there are things that you need to look at the infrastructure and the software side. Like, you know, are they using DVT? Are those nodes using different clients? How are they storing the keys? All of these things are really important.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's go back to a little bit to the topic again, and quite curious to hear from Misha and Amit, both of you, since I think at the realm of like restaking, when it comes down to like the topic of AVS, a lot of people like, I mean, we already kind of touched upon it, the fact that like there are not like AVSs that are generating enough revenue to actually like add to the yield, the current ETH yield. And that kind of begs me a question. You guys are the first ones to see the AVSs, right? That are up and coming as well. Not just the ones who are actually out there, but also the ones who are coming to you will be like the new ones saying like, hey, we're going to do this and that. So quite curious, like, you know, when you look at, I guess my question would be two parts. The first part would be like, what would be when you're selecting AVSs, or when you're not selecting, but when you're thinking of like, oh, this AVS is really good, what are the fortes or like strength of the AVSs that you look for when you're looking at multiple candidates? we could start off with Amit and then move to Misha.
I think basically the AVS's ability to kind of provide rewards is a function of one, the amount of actual revenues or cash flow streams they have, and the second thing is the amount of risk that they are asking the users to take. So it depends on these two factors. While one is like yet to be seen because like not many AVSs are actually making any type of revenues today, barring some of the L2s that could potentially use shared sequencers or other decentralized security. But yeah, I think if you ask us personally, like what we look at is like one, the AVS's ability to make current revenues or potential future revenues so that we could delegate to them. The other thing that we thoroughly assess is the actual risk that users' capital is subjected to.
What will be the like areas that right now at the moment like seems like there will be able to generate revenue in the near future, for example?
I think there are several types of applications that have the potential to do this. Examples are decentralized Oracle. Like we've already seen how Chainlink is fairly successful protocol. A lot of examples in the AI space, decentralized compute, decentralized model verification validation protocols, and a few on the realm of ZK marketplaces, ZK proof verification protocols. These are some of the subsectors that I strongly believe have the ability to kind of actually put a lot of rewards to borrow or to rent decentralized security.
Thank you. What about you, Misha?
Well, I can't like say we are not in the same business because like we don't have to score them. But yeah, I would think the networks that I talk to and AVSs that I talk to are different. Yeah, like some of them are like way more interested in marketing part of it. They're not gonna generate any revenue ever. Like it's fine because they're never gonna launch. Yeah, so in my in my view, the interested ones first, yeah, strong dev teams and builder oriented. Our industry was plagued by marketing, by like hopeful marketing for a long time. So yeah, like we are 100% focused on the teams that are like actually can benefit from shared security, because for that you need to be decentralized or at least planning to decentralize in the future. But I think networks of networks are going to be interesting as well, like AVSs of AVSs, I guess, for EigenLayer. So frameworks and middleware that's going to be reused by multiple networks. So like framework to launch en masse are going to be interesting, because like one network from their like group is not going to be providing a lot of revenue, but like because they're scalable and use the same tech stack, that they can like generate a lot if they're cumulatively. Yeah, that's a word. But it's well, you can like you can use the same methodology. Okay, like we have Redstone, right? Redstone is an Oracle. Like, how do I calculate the fees that Oracle generates? Like, I take them like the best one and like the middle of the road one. So I take Chainlink or somebody else, and like try to figure out what the fee model for that. I tried it, like it's really hard, but like VC do that, investors do that. I think like every bit of logic that they need to analyze AVSs or networks is there already, because they're like the thing that they become symbiotic network or EigenLayer AVS does not change their model by a lot. Like they can pay less, they can start early, but like product market fit is completely independent like for most networks, because there are AVSs and networks where product market fit depends on like shared security. Like networks with really the requirement of really high capital efficiency, say like pre-confirmation networks are almost impossible without restaking, because like every validator needs to hold like one ETH. Yeah, it's gonna be like for a million ETH just to like keep this network afloat. For everyone else, yeah, like just consider them if they are decentralized network. Like, how would you explain? Like, we know about those, right? Like, chain. We have like million L1s, trillion of like rollups. We already know how to like price them a bit.
I think you kind of touched upon a very interesting perspective, a point as well in the middle of your talk. There were some concerns from operators that first participated in the share security realm, especially from the early phase, um, like when Eigenlayer was like kind of pushing for the launch. Like we were seeing like AVSs with like 3 to 5 lines of codes, and then there were like jokes like being thrown like from like among the validators basically saying that hey, maybe the restaking or the whole idea of share security could be just another like way of saying shitcoin launchpad. And like do you so like we talked about like how like oracles or like zk or like subsectors of a few could actually enhance the yield of the current ETH, but like do you also see the scenario where like there are a bunch of ABSs coming out but not being able to generate the revenue, but because people are like too into this like bull market like cycle and just like aping into the tokens, and the tokens being like used as yield, so it just adds to the yield as well as like another potential scenario. Because if the marketing is just another like I mean that's how our industry has grown as well. If that just persists, that could be another scenario from my perspective. So I'm just curious to hear like any of your thoughts on that.
Uh, interesting perspective here. Uh, I think it happens with any new innovation, right? There is a lot of gold rush kind of a phenomenon that exists where a lot of protocols. You take any sector in DeFi, right? Like there were 100 different copycats of Uniswap that started building across multiple chains and that went into the token rush, did a token launch, like made some quick money and all of that. So all of these things are going to repeat in every new kind of innovation and new product. What's more important is to sort of filter out the signal from the noise. I would say the job of the protocols like the LRT protocols or even the restaking infrastructure layer protocols is to sort of identify which are the genuine ones and sort of put their weight behind them in terms of like supporting them and making sure that they are they are successful and provide all the resources for them to be successful rather than like worry too much about hey there's a lot of junk coming up now how do you obviously there should be ways to address that to kind of protect users from different types of risks that they are exposed to but I think it's just like uh, these things tend to happen in every industry and more so in crypto because it's wild west.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Like, I think that is the nature of technology. As soon as someone has a really good idea, and because we live in the open source industry, like, you can just easily fork a project and be like, okay, let's do something cool, and I think at the end of the day, um, I think it is the social layer that filters these things out. You have, people discussing. Also, I mean, LRTs also play a really important role in, choosing like AVSs and making sure that, from the user side that that the risks don't, overstep the boundaries and like actually end up hurting end users. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Misha, you were the one who touched upon the marketing part, so I'm just curious to hear about whether you have that scenario in your mind as a Symbiotic founder as well.
Oh, we like currently we have around 40 networks in the pipeline, and we see like we are because we are at the center of information. We see like the developments that they get a lot. Like we see a lot of like actual development activity. People actually using that, asking the right questions, and like the further we go, the more questions are not like philosophical. Like like what even is staking? No, like the questions are like, what's lockup period that I need to like set up? What's like how what like validator configuration like would be recommended to me, or like I don't know, like can I use like V mechanic or like other like lockup period mechanism for my token to even more boost the like to decrease the selling pressure when I start. A lot of like actually applied questions. So I think there's going to be a marketing to that, and like we already saw that like this was going on for a long time before like still no networks or AVS is launched. But first you need to understand there is infrastructure, and when you build a really cool piece of infrastructure, it's nice to have marketing because like it takes a long time to build it, right? Like if you're like we're building a bridge here, right? Just like from the centralized and really scary place, where like you find three people and like the $11 billion is like immediately disappeared, and people are hurt. To the place where like I don't like we designed Symbiotic in the spirit of like everyone from the team dies. Like what happens next? Like nothing. Like, you're just gonna work as always. Like you don't care. And like so we're building a bridge. It's gonna take a while for us to finish because like that's how infrastructure works. So while we are doing that, yeah, marketing is super good. Uniswap, like I don't remember the exact number, but it was like 2/3 of Uniswap volume was like dictated from like created by TGE. And like other events or like pump and dump tokens and like sniping groups for a long time before it like went like I don't know legit. So it's fine as long as like our job is not to like stifle innovation, because who knows like if another like shitcoin or like meme coin is gonna develop into something beautiful, right? Our job is to make sure that like while they play, like nobody gets really hurt, and like if like people are gonna get hurt, but like not gonna get hurt because we fucked up something.
Got it, got it. I think this question is geared towards Robert. When we like, I'm probably asking you a question from a bystander's point of view again, and someone who is actually deep in the space, in the staking space, right? When we talk about shared security, the word shared kind of refers to the fact that the security that we're leasing out or renting out as a restaking is actually like a cost as well. The security equals cost here. And do you think that the current level of like TVL in the restaking is a bit too high from my point of view, compared to the security that's actually like needed from the AVSs? So like, what's your take on that? Do you think we're as like Amit kind of mentioned, are we too early, and like is there too much of a restaked asset that are out there?
I think it's very much like restaking came out like Misha said, like it's the tech isn't really have been live for that long, and within a year you see Eigenlayer hitting like 32 billion TVL. I mean that is absolutely wild. I think what's the word for it? Hopium. I think lots of people are like started getting in, and I think as soon as the market develops more, I mean EigenDA is now starting to get on and everything. I think we'll see more of the people getting a better perspective of the industry, and I think that the cost of attack is something that you need to look at. So to be honest, like I'm not 100% sure what the actual ratio is, like how much ETH you need to protect certain applications. I guess some is more, some is less. It depends on the AVS, and it depends on the use case. But I think again from the DVT perspective, as long as the base layer is protected, that's probably the most important thing. Like you don't want these big companies to fail. You don't want, like infinite stacking of rewards because you don't know where that's going to go. But we from looking back at the past, where you have these DeFi strategies where you're just continuously stacking these rewards and things. Like I think that isn't, from my perspective, I don't think that's the way to go. So yeah, so that's kind of my opinion on that story.
I think we have about 5 minutes left, so I'll just get last comment from each of you, Amit and Misha, and then we'll wrap it up. For Amit, like I just want to hear your thoughts on how you are planning, as one of the LRT founders, how are you trying to like make LRT finance like a bit more like vibrant in like coming year, so that like Kelp could flourish, but at the same time all the LRTs are gonna flourish and AVSs too.
Yeah, I think most important things for us are one, innovating on top of the LRT, using the underlying restaking tech as the backbone and the type of innovations that we'll build. That's a high priority for us. The second one is assessing risks and building the right set of risk frameworks so that users' capital is I mean, I wouldn't say not exposed, is exposed to the right amount of risks, and it is balanced with regards to the rewards that as an LRT protocol that we are able to generate for the users. In terms of innovations, we have already launched something called Gain, Kelp, Gain powered by Kelp, which is like an automated airdrop farmer that uses Kelp's LRT underneath and deploys the RS ETH, which is Kelp's restaked ETH, across multiple L2s and farms airdrops and yields across these different protocols. As an extension to it, we are also launching a tokenized hedge fund in partnership with a leading hedge fund player that utilizes RS ETH underneath and farms real yields across different protocols. And we're going to innovate on this layer so that DeFi and restaking finance becomes more accessible to a lot of users. At the same time, makes it rewarding for the users. The second one is we are putting in place stringent risk frameworks in collaboration with a few expert partners who that can help us make decisions on which AVSs that we can restake our ETH to and which AVSs we should not, and in what quantities. So these are the two important things that any LRT should focus on as we get up to the next phase of restaking, which is potential slashing and a bunch of AVS rewards, etc.
And yeah, last question for Misha. How are you planning to add or contribute to the restaking finance like in the coming year? Basically, like so economic activity. Like how are you going to contribute to it as a Symbiotic founder?
I'm gonna build the best shared security protocol for them to live on. Yeah, like I don't know, like this is the totality of what I do. I try to achieve this. Like, yeah, like I'll do a lot, hopefully. But yeah, like we need to start. I think the main goal for us is to actually start showing the industry, like, see, this is an example of like your type of network that was launched with shared security, perfectly done and like streamlined and released like to the public in like I don't know like half a year to a year faster, with the best operator set, with good stakers and like delegates. Yeah, we need to actually show them because like you can, I don't know, write articles of million words, but if you show like the goal is to create a menu where like every founder of every network can select like, okay, like I'm a FEG option Oracle network for AI, and like I can just gather like everyone else's like successes and their code base and try to figure out how it applies to me. And then immediately I'm not alone. I'm like one of the chains of really like um, one of the protocols that are following footsteps of others. And that's the optimization we get from like shared security that we need. So now like we know this, it makes sense, right? Like now we need to show the industry that it actually like works. And 2025 is going to be the year for that. I think like closer to Q3, Q2, networks are gonna start launching on mass. This is like the hopefully the period where we get like scale. But like I might be again optimistic, and it might be like Q4 of 2026. Like infrastructure takes time, so yeah, be patient, please.
As an operator of Symbiotics, looking forward to it. And thank you so much, all of you. And
Thank
all
you
the
for your
speakers,
service.
and thank you so much for the audience as well.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Misha, Amit, Robert, and John.